Hi actors, I thought I would do a little video for you and I hope that this helps you. The theme of today's video is the danger of wanting to be liked. I know we all suffer from this as human beings, let alone as actors, so I wanted to point out three big issues that I find comes up all the time, the danger of wanting to be liked. The very first problem is that, I'm sure you've experienced this as an actor, is you are performing in front of a group, and I include one person, even one person, that self-consciousness comes in. You start to feel awkward, disconnected from yourself, and we find as actors and as performers that starts to now become the energy that's distracting you, which is also, by the way, bringing up more insecurity. So that's the one problem about wanting to be liked. It makes you exceptionally self conscious because you keep seeking ticks and approval and validation. The other problem with wanting to be liked is that, of course, it's making it about you. So I'm going to break your heart, actor. Acting is not about you. It is about what can happen through you for an audience, but it ain't about you. So when an actor is trying to be liked, they are literally coming from an egoic place. The danger with the ego, as we have as human beings, not just performers, but as human beings, the ego is concerned about two things. It wants to be right and it wants to look good. And it doesn't care about much more than that. Of course, there are degrees of that, and that's quite an interesting topic for another day. So, of course, wanting to be liked is also coming from ego. It's not coming from anything remotely interesting. When I teach actors, I often speak about soul or spirit or truthfulness. And if you're coming from an egoic place, you never think about those things. You are literally concerned with your image. And a third point I wanted to raise about the danger of wanting to be liked is that when it comes to performance, and of course, what I'm about to say relates to other areas of life, but I am speaking specifically to actors. When it comes to performance, the whole beautiful thing about it is that there is a relationship. There's a relationship between the characters on stage or on screen, and there is an invisible relationship too between the actor and the audience in the theater or the audience through the camera who are going to watch your work. That relationship is severed, broken, and not explored when actors are coming from me, myself, and I places. So, what are the solutions? The first thing I wanted to suggest is, as always, mindfulness and self awareness is where we begin. We have to know that we are doing this. So, I find when I'm teaching actors, the first thing I want to say is ask yourself, do I know I'm doing this? Do I know that I'm coming from an egoic place and not an authentic space? So that question is very powerful because it is placing the attention on you in a way that you can now work with. The questions about am I being liked externalize your awareness. You're making it about others. This question is making it about you. So that's where you start to shift the fear, the nervousness, and the anxiety. Do I know that I'm doing this? And if you're being honest with yourself, then you will know that you are. So then where to from there? The next part of do I know if I'm doing this? And the answer is yes, is okay, then what am I going to do about it? It depends on the scene, it depends on the moment, it depends on the task at hand. But you are literally meant to put all your focus, all your attention, all your loyalty, all of your brain time on what am I doing? Quite literally. What am I doing physically? What am I doing in the scene? What am I doing with the line? What am I doing to the people in the scene? It is not about me, it is what I am doing through me. So that starts to shift the attention away from self and it starts to put it on activities, which ultimately is what acting becomes. The other point I wanted to raise, we have to start practicing being more empathic in life. I find that people who are quite self-centered, and I'm sorry I am going to say it like that, are people who don't practice curiosity or empathy or connection with others. If anything, they're quite threatened by that idea. And that's a video for another day. But for those of us who just experience this overwhelming anxiety in trying to be liked, I find if you shift your attention to to others in a way that makes them interesting to you. So you're exploring people rather than feeling like you have to survive them. And the more you are exploring them, the more nuances and interesting elements and bits and pieces you'll find. And that starts to shift your attention away from me and puts it on other, which for a performer, particularly helpful. And the last thing I wanted to suggest in terms of another tool or practice that you can do to start helping you become less self-conscious in the moment that it's happening is to connect to your body. The body and the breath. Those are our tools as performers. Later, those words become technique, but the performer has to connect to their presence. When we breathe, as an example of this, when we breathe, we don't breathe in the past, that breath is done, and we don't breathe in the future because it hasn't happened yet. So we are breathing now. That is now. Well, it was. And if we keep practicing putting the attention on the present and we put the attention on the body and we put the attention on the breath, we start to make it a physical thing, which again, that is a tool as a performer, very helpful. And it gets you out of your noodle, which is also where a lot of your anxiety and your tension is coming from. So I hope this helps.